Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Oh, just a turquoise dream. It's all about you, ABQ. The goal of the show, highlight the best of our city's industry experts, real estate, culture, lifestyle, so that you walk away with some value, feeling inspired. The way we like to do that is to answer the questions that you may have or interview the guests that you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out using the hashtag up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage Home Loan Expert.
You may have seen that handlebar mustache as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo handlebar league.
Wait, yeah, you're acting like me. And you may have seen Skip's at Old Navy commercials for polo tops and HGTV's House Hunters and top 2% producing real estate agents in the city.
And we're both hooked on phonics. Just glad you could join us today. Great episode coming up. We're joined by Jarrod Ronquillo. Let's talk about him. I mean, he's a man of mystery. Straight out of Minnesota, hockey player, master's, Ph.D., working at the labs, first-time home buyer. So we're going to get to know his backstory and hear a little bit about his experience.
Yeah, kind of like a little prodigy, right? I mean, just doing things at a really early start.
Yeah, how old were you when you bought your first house? I definitely was not in college.
I think I was 24 if it wasn't me being in the industry, but I don't even know how old he is. I think he may be 23 or 24, but has found a way to get into a house and already start that, social class climbing and getting himself into a really good neighborhood. But we'll get into that later,
Yeah, so fantastic episode. We're going to jump into the Mortgage Minute. Stay tuned to the end of the show. It's going to get hot in here. Stay tuned for Skip's tips. But Grant, man, you had a wild weekend.
I did. You know what? I actually I got into archery. I started archery, and I actually tried blindfolded archery. And Skip, you wouldn't know what you're missing. But really, so I went clothes shopping a little bit, and then
blindfolded.
No. I had a shirt just like this, and it was super staticky, and I was like, dude, where's the receipt? Usually I don't keep my receipts, and I found it, and I took it back to the store, and they gave me another one free of charge.
Keep them coming, baby.
That's all I've got.
Keep them coming.
That's all I've got. But really, Mark, cue up the weekend pictures. I went to Ludacris.
Obviously we want to talk about
okay, well that happened too.
Situation.
That was at Steve Aoki, in which prompted me to keep this mustache handlebar because Skip was acting so wobbly lately. I wanted to give him something to hold on to. There's old Nick Madrid, a prior guest. I feel like Steve Aoki and I look the same.
I don't see any resemblance, but let's run.
I have no eyes and he has no eyes, and and then let's go. Do we have another one there? So there we all are, and that was at Rebel. So Steve Aoki is how I kind of got into EDM, and here's
Steve Aoki.
Who's that?
Again.
Yeah, there he is again. Steve Aoki would be considered kind of cheesy by EDM,
standard
veterans, but this is how I got into EDM. So he put on a good show, threw cake in about 18 people's faces, and people volunteered for it. They go, "Cake me," and he takes a full-blown cake, and just bashes them in the face, and they're all, yeah! So clearly I was up on the second level.
That's why you had the mask on.
Yeah. So that was my weekend. What'd you do?
Man, shoot. Well, I didn't get cake thrown at me, but let's see. Yeah, we had another exciting weekend, dude.
Open house?
Played some golf, did some open house, little Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. Didn't think I would have enough time, but we did.
Yeah, I squeezed it in.
No, my weekend's always real estate heavy, and just to speak to that, I think our market here is still continuing to go up. A report came out that 11 of the southwestern, the states that make up the west part of the United States, for the past couple of years, have seen just exponential growth in value and equity.
Yeah.
But for the first time, the first quarter posted losses in home equity for all the 11 states that make up the western United States, except for the land of enchantment actually posted gains. We were the only one. So New Mexico, still the values continue to go up. And
we keep saying that. One of the things I'm really firm on is we are extremely insulated from national trends. We don't have the dynamics that the other states do. So when you hear or you read the newspaper, they're not wrong, but they need to tailor their news specific to us because we are our own animal. No, we don't gain 25% in equity. But we have this even stream, if you agree, 10 to 14% of linear growth, and it keeps happening. I think if we were a stock, we'd be one of the best performing stocks that were in real estate. We don't fall on our face. And everyone locally keeps, I think they're waiting for that. Wait till prices go down. Not gonna happen. We have a finite amount of land, unless you want to live in Gallup, where all they're building. This is where the houses are, so.
It's an interesting time because we get a lot of people from out of state moving here to work at either the labs, Sandia Labs, Kirtland Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And we always talk about our little micro market here and how we are insulated, right? So 2008, when we see, the big crash and Californians taking, 50% losses or whatever it was. Here's where we just had a little blip on the radar, but we continue to go up and our values have been strong. And so when we talk about supply and demand, it's just the main drivers here. The supply is just not there.
I think the media wants to have this resurgence of, defaulting and stuff. Those loan practices aren't in place anymore. There aren't any stated loans. The loans are actually rather non-aggressive. I feel like they could, use a little bit more private firms taking on loans. But the truth be told, there aren't any bad loans out there anymore. So we're not going to fall down like we used to. And I think people were counting on that. So 2008 and 2009, I think the government went so far overboard overcorrecting that it won't happen again. I mean, the government did well for once, but they also kind of cut people that were self-employed and needed some help. Anyways, 2009 won't happen again. That's a Grant Harvey guarantee.
Yeah, you can put a stamp on that. That's UABQ stamp on it. So yeah, just to go to speak to it, the report came from CoreLogic. Of the 11 states that make up the contiguous western United States, New Mexico was the only state to post a gain in home equity in the first quarter year over year. And we saw a year over year increase of about $10,000 in equity gains this year. So
would you attribute that stabilization to my handlebar mustache?
Yeah, everyone's just
grabbed on.
Everyone's taking a turn at that thing.
I feel safe now. You're welcome.
I feel complete now, Grant. Let's see. So when we talk about equity stuff going up and prices continuing to go up, one of the things that lags behind typically, as you know this in finance, is the appraisals, right? Yeah. So market value continues to go up, and appraised value is something that's a little bit different that lags behind a few months.
Yeah, well, that's. I feel like you just kicked me into my mortgage minute.
That's right, mortgage minute.
Do it, Mark. Hi, welcome to Mortgage Minute. So what Skip touched on is something I want to discuss for my Mortgage Minute. So oftentimes, or all the time, a bank will say, we will lend you money on a loan-to-value basis, right? The value is actually determined by the appraisal. The loan, obviously, is going to be adjusted on percentage of that value. There are some instances where a house is actually worth a little bit more, but the market quite hasn't caught up. This would be an example of appraisal gap, where you say, hey, I know the appraisal came in at $300,000, and I know the buyer wants $330,000. I'll pay the difference. That's appraisal gap. And it's actually pretty prominent in Albuquerque because there's a lot of hot zip codes that don't have a lot of action in it because the houses just aren't selling. So the buyer has to decide, am I going to walk away from the deal, or am I going to agree that the value's there, but it hasn't been put forth through, let's say, comps, comparables. So that's appraisal gap. It's not as intricate as it sounds, but really you have to decide how much you want that house and actually pay the difference. The bank will only lend off a percentage of what the value of the appraisal, right? So the appraisal establishes value, that establishes your purchase price and purchase price gap. So that is your Mortgage Minute. If you have any other questions, contact your local expert.
Handlebar guy.
Yeah, handlebar guy, lender.
It's always good info, and I think a lot of times buyers or people just in general need to understand the difference between appraised value and market value. Market value moves so much faster than appraised value because the market is now, it's current, it's what's going on. Appraisals are looking at stuff that's trailing indicators, that has already happened 6 months ago to 3 to 6 months ago, what was going on.
And that's so true because inherently we've been told you never pay over price. You never pay retail. You never pay over. Albuquerque's moving in a different way to where you have to look at projected prices, and I guarantee a house that got the appraisal gap paid for, the other houses will then be going at that rate. So it's a tough thing to absorb, but in Albuquerque, you count on paying a little bit more than that purchase price if you really want the house.
Yeah, so again, the difference between the appraised value and the purchase price would be the appraisal gap.
Yep.
And so the buyers
comes out of pocket.
Yeah, it makes up the difference in cash at closing. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined in studio by Jarrod Ronquillo. He's got a fantastic story, moving from the Midwest to the Southwest to play hockey.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive, but the guy
Yeah, unless you have a sick coach.
So hold on to those handlebars. This is going to be a fantastic episode. Stay tuned to the end of the show. It's going to get hot in here. And we're talking about Skip's tips. So stay tuned. This is UABQ.
Back.
Welcome back to UABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage, home loan expert.
And handlebar extraordinaire guy.
BMX pro.
Grab on, go for a ride. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Jarrod Ronquillo of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team, but also first-time home buyer and working on a Ph.D. for Los Alamos National Lab.
ASUNM president now?
GPSA Council Chair.
GPSA Council Chair.
Jarrod, welcome to the show, my friend. And good to see you. Thank you for dressing up. I always want to make sure that people are dressed appropriately for the show because we are all business here.
Clearly.
It's my pleasure, Grant got mad at me last time I didn't dress up to something, so now when I go to the supermarket, I wear a suit.
Let's open this up.
Okay,
let's talk about it right now. So I went and took my three captains to Ruth Chris, right? A pretty nice place. I wear what I always wear to show them how to do it. Two of them show up right. Again, I'll use this joke. Jarrod looked like he took his polo shirt out of a coin purse and put it on, and then it was a wrinkle fest. So we got bad service. No, it's okay. We had a great time, but I always tell my kids, my players, to dress up.
Dress appropriately. Yeah. Dress for the job. Dress for the job you want to be.
And so he didn't become a Ruth Chris cook after that. So that's what happened.
But Jarrod, let's talk a little bit about your backstory because I think it's fascinating that you left the Midwest to come to the Southwest, but your parents, as it turns out, were former Lobos. Is that right?
Yeah, my mom was Marlene Romero, the libero for UNM's volleyball team. So that's kind of the cool way I like to remember that she was there. My dad, he just got an engineering degree, so he punched up, got the perfect specimen as my mom, and how amazing she is, and he's been riding that ever since.
Those two were from Santa Fe originally, but didn't know each other, right?
Yeah, my dad was the student council president, and my mom at the time was dating the captain of the football team.
Ooh.
So she...
Movie story, right?
Yeah, movie story. So then the smart guy always gets the pretty girl, so that's why I chose to get a Ph.D.
So. Look at him, just playing the long game. Nerd alert! Hey, so let's talk a little bit about it. So you've been in Albuquerque for a while now, and I remember you coming in as a freshman, and I remember Grant was taking you out to show you around a little bit as a hockey player. I mean, talk a little bit about settling into Albuquerque in the Southwest.
I mean, it was easy. You don't have to worry about sub-0 degree weather, so that was wonderful. I showed up to the ice arena in shorts and Birks, and I got weird looks from my teammates.
Because here's what up north kids do. They do this thing where they go, it's not cold for me. Oh, you guys are cold? Oh, it's fine for me. It feels like Hawaii here when it's 22. That's kind of that's their peacocking, right? He was posturing, but he authentically doesn't get cold. So I go back in there. The guy shows up to tryouts. I don't know who he is yet. There's a couple guys that I recruited. I see this phenom and I go, that must be the kid from Minnesota, right? So he's sipping through everybody. And Jarrod was used to being one of the best in Minnesota, and I had put him on a third line. In hockey, that's a grinder line. That's kind of like the work hard, go hit, bash people, not score so much. And Jarrod actually took it really well. I kind of do this routine of making my players a little bit humble, and then I punch them in the mouth if they talk back to me. No, he got that in Los Alamos. But he ended up being my captain and leading us, in 2 national championships, and he has the highest goals in UNM history. He has great hair, which is a must.
Prerequisite for
if
being
you're
on
going
the
to be
show.
a captain, you must have hair like that. But there's all the captains right there. I forgot to say that I was late today because I was missing my tooth and I couldn't find it. But Jarrod, go ahead and tell us about your UNM experience, right? I mean, you joined the fraternity, Sigma Chi, and you kind of, that kind of fizzled out. But what your mainstay was UNM hockey. So talk about your experience.
I mean, hockey, I owe everything to hockey. Hockey has gotten me so far in life through the connections, through the people I've met. I got to meet Skip through hockey. I got to meet my boss at work through hockey. I got to meet it's crazy how great of a community, how big of a community the hockey community. Even last week at the farmers market, I got a discount on salsa because I knew the hockey guy that was selling the salsa.
You know how much money he's saving really in the end?
That's just a hot tip right there.
Yeah, we got some chili for you later too. Let's talk about also the philanthropies and what you've been involved in student government. More so, I want to brag about this guy. I'm really big on philanthropies. When I was a coach of UNM hockey, we did about 8, 9, 10 philanthropies. We did one at the Wildlife Federation. And Mark, can you cue the not Wildlife Federation, the Wildlife
WWF?
Rescue of New Mexico? Yeah. Mark, cue that video. This is something that Jarrod and he actually got his fraternity members to.
Let's cue that mustache a little bit more.
It's not on the video. I can't.
Forward off the ice. They were at the Wildlife Center of New Mexico helping to rehab a group of crows. It was a disturbing sight for the people who say the birds died mysteriously at an Albuquerque industrial complex. The players say the time spent together at the Wildlife Center was time well spent.
This is my family away from home, so being able to spend a Saturday morning with them to get work done, it's a great opportunity to have both my favorite people at the university meet together and get to know each other and really link and bond and get something great done while we're at it.
Now, the poisoning of any bird is illegal. If there's an issue, it can only be done by calling a licensed pest control expert. It's unclear who was the one to poison.
The wildlife rescue for New Mexico, and what Jarrod was able to assemble some of his fraternity brothers, and I took the UNM hockey team and we kind of just disassembled it. They used this for labor, but we really kind of rebuilt them, their habitats for the birds and the various other animals that we would rescue. But Jarrod and I would come in there almost every weekend and go feed rabbits or feed birds or
a loon?
Yeah, a loon, Minnesota, and we would go, do a dropper and go feed the birds mouse. But he was my right hand man, a lot of philanthropies. But let's talk about your involvement in student government, right?
Yeah, so GPSA, which is the Graduate and Professional Students Association at UNM, is meant to kind of improve the graduate student experience at UNM for graduate students. And last semester what we did is we approved appropriations for like the hockey team, making sure that they got enough money for funding so that they could go wherever they wanted to travel. And we do that same sort of thing for every other club at UNM. I think we gave about $60,000 to clubs throughout UNM, and that felt really good. And then along with providing support to grad students. With what's going on right now, there's a fight for unionization on campus for graduate students, and to be frank, graduate students do deserve better wages and how they act and how they're such a crucial part of the University of New Mexico that without them, the university cannot function. So I'm really proud that I got to write a resolution and show support for the Grad Workers Union, because the grad students fundamentally are so crucial to the university when it comes to outputting research and papers and dissertations, that they deserve a little bit more recognition, in my belief.
So what Jarrod did, Jarrod actually took a pay cut so his other peers could actually have more money. So he's actually, he's paving the way to be a politician that I think that people can actually stand behind, right? Because who actually likes to lose any of their own stuff? And when they do, I go, hey, that's a guy for the people. Now, let's move on to this. How old are you now?
I'm 25.
He's 25. Now, Skip had taken him on a home search. Let's talk about, let's field the questions. How was the home search with Jarrod?
Let's talk about this. So first-time buyers is always a delicate situation because you have to go through the education process. There's a little bit of hand-holding, but you took to it rather quickly, and the learning curve was slow, or was pretty easy to deal with. So, you did your home search, your research online. That's what I love about working with research students is that they do.
I already know that. Thank you. Let's move on. Yeah, Excel already said that. Yeah.
Where's my keys? So, going through the home buying process was fun with you, and so much so that we were laser focused on one part of town. I think we looked at 3 properties, and by process of elimination, you were dead set on one and had the opportunity to beat out like 10 to 15 other offers, whatever it was, because the ability to be aggressive. But talk a little bit about what was it like going from searching on Zillow to all of a sudden you get your keys tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing was that I had Skip and Grant in my corner. Having you guys be direct with me, I think Grant, it's fairly easy for him to be direct towards me since he's coached me for so long. But having Skip and talking to Skip, like we went to a house that was kind of in the southern part of the Northeast Heights, and we looked at it, and I loved it. I thought it was great. This is a fixer-upper. I can put in a few hours a week and make it look really nice. And then Skip looks at me and he says, "This is terrible. We need to step back." and then that made me realize, no, I don't have hours to work on this house. Oh my gosh, it's actually going to cost 6 figures to repair this house. Get me out of here. There's probably asbestos in it. So we looked at other houses, and we found one that was ready to go, ready, less work, and Skip and Grant protected me in the offer process. They made sure that I wouldn't overpay for the house. So I like how you guys are saying that it was me, but in the end, it was you guys that really were the ones that were the driving force behind this house. I just am the one who pays.
Yeah, let's talk about the area that he's in, and really how appraisal gap happens. He's in a very lucrative neighborhood.
When you're buying real estate, one of the things you always want to do is try and have the most affordable house is surrounded by the most expensive houses, right? You don't want to be the most expensive home on the block because it's going to bring your value down. So we were able to find him the most affordable house in the far Northeast Heights. And what was important to him, he goes, well, I want to be close to the Outpost Arena, but I also need quick access to get to UNM and then all the way up to Los Alamos. And so you couldn't have thrown a dart in a better place than where this house was located. Happened to be the most affordable house in one of the most expensive zip codes in one of the best school districts. So I think it really checked a lot of your boxes, and I think it was an educational process along the way.
And the wherewithal for him to know that, hey, I'm going to be bumping myself up. I will be elevating myself in price range. This thing makes a perfect rental for later. So to him to have that like kind of longevity and foresight to say, hey, this works out now and it works out later. And the reason why I think he's going to be buying bigger houses, Jarrod, let's talk about your path now. You work at the Los Alamos Labs. You are pursuing
a Ph.D. in chemical engineering.
Yeah.
So nerd alert.
Yeah, here we go again, these nerds. But what I enjoy about Jarrod is the coalescing of brain power and obviously athletic ability. And I'm going to keep bragging for him. State all-star champ.
Oh yeah,
in soccer.
All-state in high school soccer. Yeah. Shout out
Just
to
keep
my
piling
high
on.
school soccer friends.
Yeah, I hope they're watching. Hey, call in if you see Jarrod right now.
Oh gosh.
We're going to actually do a little bit more questioning. We have one more segment.
Yeah, this whole
episode's hot,
interview,
but I feel like we can make it
Let's take it up a
little
notch.
hotter.
In the spirit of Grant's State Fair chili peppers, what we decided to do is kind of settle the score here. Because every episode, Grant gets a little flex, and he says, I'm a big gardener guy, I can handle the heat. Well, I want to introduce you guys to the scorpion peppers. And so this goes back a little bit to the One Chip Challenge.
That's how we got our show.
That's how we were picked up on ABC. So here we go, scorpion peppers, and it's a simple thing. So as the guest, I'll let you go ahead and pick which scorpion pepper you'd like to go with.
Which one do you think looks the hottest?
I think the red one.
This one looks like it'll kill you.
It's all blistered up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Are we eating the whole thing?
I don't know. This is kind of like a first
I
thing.
watched a YouTube
So the
video where
idea
they did
here
this
is
today.
is just to kind of settle the score, right? We're just gonna.
Where's yours?
We're just gonna have a conversation.
Okay. We'll finish it up.
Let's have a normal conversation.
R.I.P. Okay.
So these are scorpion peppers. So this is not the hottest in the world, but I think this will.
Let's go half.
We'll just go until we can't go anymore.
Well,
All right, I'll start it. Oh, this isn't bad.
Oh, never mind. I didn't know I was eating a bell pepper.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's actually pretty hot.
Oh, yeah, it's already.
Do I swallow this?
So, let's talk about where
Keep
you
it in
met
my
your
mouth
girl.
or swallow it?
Swallow it.
Let's talk about how you met your girlfriend at Lights on Lymphoma and Leukemia Society.
Okay. Hi, Lucia. So, the leukemia and lymphoma walk of the night, the cancer thing was to show support for people who have had leukemia or lymphoma. And I saw my girlfriend there. We've been dating for 3 years, and the first thing I met her, and she was handing out hot chocolate, which would be perfect right now. And she looks at us, and I had my face painted and everything. I looked like a total nerd.
Wait, what did you have
More
your face
so than
painted
I
as?
did.
Like
I had
cherry
my-
and silver?
I had my number right here and a paw right here, a Lobo paw. And she's like, "Is Lobo hockey even good?" And I looked at her and I said, "Hell yeah, we are." And then I died from ghost pepper.
Okay. Thank you, Jarrod. I appreciate you coming out. And that will end segment 2.
Wait a minute. I'm just hitting
What are you talking about? We need a break.
All right, so let's just finish these and we can kind of...
Buddy, we're good.
Why are you crying?
This was a bad move.
No way.
Jarrod,
Interviews get
I'd like to thank you for coming on. This is the worst idea
All right.
we've ever had.
This interview goes pretty hot, though. All right. Well,
We
here's what
appreciate-
you're going to want to stay tuned. Jarrod Ronquillo, thank you so much for stopping by. Go ahead and put those back, Mr.
We're back for
I don't know,
what?
just turned down or what?
Oh,
Where are we at?
you need to stop this segment.
Stay tuned to the end of the show as we get into
Let's get started.
tips on how to beat the heat.
Welcome back, UABQ. Last segment of the show. We are just now getting our senses back. What we have now is blazing Skip's tips.
Here we go. I'm back. Still hot, still sweating, still tearing up. Skip's tips, anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. New home construction versus resale. Here's the pros and cons. Anytime you want to buy brand new construction, there's some pros and cons that go along with it. First, let's talk about the pros. So you're going to get a brand new property under warranty, and it's going to have no used toenails in the carpet. Second, there's no bidding wars when it comes to brand new construction, so you won't be bidding against 5 or 10 other buyers like you will in resale. New home builders are typically offering huge incentives, whether that's paying for closing costs, sometimes they'll even pay for brand new appliances. Some of the cons that go along with buying brand new construction is you might be in a public improvement district, which will lead to higher property taxes. And the lead time. If you want to get into a property right away, you might have to budget 6 to 8 months in order to get into a brand new construction. And typically the overall cost of acquiring a brand new home is going to be higher than the same square footage for a resale property. So those are some of the pros and cons that go along with buying brand new construction. If you are interested in taking a brand new construction tour, just hit me up. Share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
Just to jump in here, I see a few cons. Actually, when has there ever been a deadline that builders?
Oh, we can get into the nitty gritty. I mean, if you're working with new home construction, a lot of times they will just blow through stop signs. A lot of it has to do with supply chain issues, labor shortages, stuff like that. So the closing date on a new home construction is always a floating date. The weird thing is they'll keep you to your deadlines.
Exactly.
But the second you go, hey man, I'm living in my car here. We were supposed to close a week ago. It's like they don't care.
And the problem therein lies with the loan. If you had a loan that was locked, right, and you have 45-day lock, and every lock extension costs a lot of money. So if they don't meet their delivery date, guess who pays? It's the customer. The other thing I've seen that builders do is they'll say, hey, we're throwing 15,000 incentives, cabinets and stuff. And we both know those cabinets probably cost them $5,500, but it looks grandiose to offer this huge incentive. I would still say if they're offering you a loan package, still shop it out. I would say half the time I can actually do better than the incentives they're providing. So again, just shopping rates is always a good thing, and you can find out if you have one that's actually a good deal. But, some new homes, I applaud it. They look.
It's all about perceived value too, and at the end of the day, it's important to have a second set of eyes to look at the bottom line to make sure you are really getting incentives versus getting burned.
Getting burned like we did to our service episode.
Great episode today. Thank you to Jarrod Ronquillo stopping by and just taking one on the chin, dude, for the boys.
Yeah, dude, this kid's like my son. I really applaud him doing that. He's always been a yes sir guy. He probably regrets this yes sir moment, but yeah.
Shout out to Ashley. This was her idea to make us
Oh,
look like
what?
idiots.
Yeah, shout out to Ashley. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that one hurt like the last time.
Thanks for tuning in. This is All About You, ABQ.
Wednesdays at 7, Sundays at 9, I think.